Hello, welcome to Pirkei Avos with Rabeinu Yonah. We're in chapter 5 and we're starting Mishnah number 9. Chaya ra bala olam. So we're talking about different punishments that happen when people don't keep certain commandments. So wild animals attack people. They come into the world. I don't know, maybe this means shark attacks. I don't know. Could also mean shark attacks, maybe. Al Shavuoshav. So what kind of sins did that happen for? Al Shavuoshav, when people make oaths in vain. There's something in the Torah very serious when a person makes an oath, and he makes an oath in the name of God. So a person makes a vain oath. That's a very big sin. Va'al chil Hashem, desecrating God's name. Galus bala olam. Actually, let's do Rabeinu Yonah as we go through each one. So Rabeinu Yonah says Nishbal Evan. Sheyesh Shahuol Shel Shish. I'm not sure what he means there. Va'chol Hashem ha'osev erev b'farhesia. He defines desecration of God's name. People throw around this term a lot. Chil Hashem, making Chil Hashem. So what's a Chil Hashem here? He says doing a sin in public. That's a Chil Hashem. Going against the will of God in public. That's a Chil Hashem. So very often people throw around this term and they don't really know what it means. But if you want to see a definition from Rabeinu Yonah, just turn to Mishnah 5, number 9. Galus bala olam al avodah zara. Okay, the next thing. Exile comes to the world. The Jewish people get exiled al avodah zara, val gilei arayis, val shichus dam, on idol worship, on acts of sexual immorality, and murder. Val shmitas haaretz, and not keeping the laws of Shemitah. The seventh year of the cycle. There's a 7-year cycle that we have, and the 7th year is Shemitah, where we have to let the land rest, and we don't work the land of Israel. So Rabeinu Yonah says, Kisha Omdim Yisrael avodah zara, galus balahem, when the Jews worship idols. Exile comes, Shechorsh Mizar Mishvias, Ve'en Mashmitin Es Haaretz. They don't allow or when the Jewish people, they don't allow the land to rest, and they work the land in the Shemitah like we just said. Okay. Ba'arba Prakim Hadever Misraba. There are 4 times of the year, or 4 times in this Shemitah cycle where plague, or sickness and plague could increase. What are these 4 times of the year? We'll read what the 4 times are, and we'll see how Rabeinu Yonah explains it. B'Shvius, the sabbatical year, Ubamotzi Shvius, the year after the sabbatical year, Ubamotzi Achag, right after Sukkot, Shebechol Shana V'Shana, every year, Baravius, in the 4th year of the Shemitah cycle, Mipnei Meiser Ani, because of Meiser Ani Shebeshlishis, that was in the 3rd year. Now he's explaining why each of these times plague comes to the world. So the 4th year, why the 4th year of the Shemitah cycle? So there were different tithes that were given each year of the Shemitah cycle. In the 3rd and the 6th year, there was something called Meiser Ani. You had to take off 10% of your crops and give to poor people. That was only during the 3rd and the 6th year. So if people didn't give this Meiser Ani in the 3rd year, then the 4th year would be a year of plague. B'Shvius, the 7th year, Mipnei Meiser Ani Shebeshishis. And so too in the 7th year, which follows the 6th year, where people should be giving Meiser Ani 10% to a poor person, and they didn't do it, plague would come to the world also. Ubamotzi Shvius. Now, why would plague come in the year after Shemitah? Mipnei Perish Shvius, because people were not observing the laws of Shemitah. Ubamotzi Achag Shebechol Shana V'Shana. And why would plague come after Sukkot? Mipnei Gezel Matnas Aniyim, because in addition to this tithe that was given every 3rd and 6th year, there's certain gifts that are given to the poor every time a person harvests. And therefore, if people didn't give it, a plague would come right after Sukkot. So let's see specifically why after Sukkot. So I'm going to read Rabeinu Yonah about these 4 times when plague comes. Shekachu adin shana rishona u'shniya shel Shemitah ma'aser rishon ma'aser ani. The first years of Shemitah, we give. That doesn't mean Shemitah. That means the years of the Shemitah cycle. We give ma'aser rishon, ma'aser sheni. Ma'aser rishon is 10% that goes to the Levi. And then Meiser Sheni is a 10% where a person could eat it, but he has to eat it in Jerusalem. Shenemar, it says, Ki sichal la'aser, es kol Meiser tuvoschol b'shana shlishi shnasa Meiser. V'chi b'rishonu shniya lo hayu nosne Meiser. Yes, in the 1st and 2nd year they didn't give Meiser, ela rotzalam. This means to say, shnas Meiser. Shana she'en nosne bo mishnei Meiser she'b'rishona u'shniya ela echad. V'zeh hu Meiser rishon. Avo Meiser Sheni b'shlishis leka. Ela Meiser ani, nosnin lager u'liyasim u'lamana asher b'sharecha. I'll translate it in a second. V'Hashirim Shai Meiser Sheni Shalahem Meruba. Hayashalchem B'nayim Lulma Torah B'Yushalayim V'Lechel As Meiser V'Alzeh Misrav Mecham Yisrael V'Zeu Shenemar Bo Laman Tilman. Okay, so I read a lot of Hebrew there. I'm going to summarize it. This is what he's saying, that why is it only in the 4th year and the 6th year, that the 4th year and the 7th year, that the plague would come for not giving Meiser? Meiser was given every year. Every year of a person of a person's field when he's harvesting, he has to give tithes. Every year he has to give 10% to the Levi. That's called Meiser Rishon. Now, this other tithes, that changed every year. Meiser Rishon happened every year. So the 3rd and 6th years of a 7-year cycle, that's where we said the second tithe of 10% goes to poor people. That was called Meiser Ani. The 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th years will be Meiser Sheni. Now, Meiser Sheni was something where you would take it, 10%, and you just had to eat it in Jerusalem. And he writes here about how the wealthy people, they would just send all their Meiser Sheni to Jerusalem with their children so their children could study Torah, and it was a big mitzvah for them. But for neglecting Meiser Sheni, plague doesn't come to the world. Only for neglecting Meiser Ani, only for neglecting the special tithe that would go to poor people, do people get punished with plague. And the reason is because it's a lot worse. It seems it's a lot worse to neglect to give money to poor people than to neglect to give this Meiser Sheni, which was eaten in Jerusalem. Okay. B'shviyis mipnei Meiser Sheni, b'shviyis meiser shviyis mipnei b'shviyis ki vadlo Meiser b'shana shishiv ha'aretz lo tishmena b'shana shviyis shnas hashmita shra b'dever b'shana shviyis. Okay, this is what we mentioned before. Motzi achag shebechol shana b'shana yisrael. Now, why after Sukkot was there a potential for plague to come to the world? Im lo yanichu leket shecho peah. Parad v'olelos. There are a lot of gifts that every time a person harvests his field, there's certain gifts he has to give to a poor person. For example, any produce that drops when he's harvesting his field and falls out of his hands, he has to leave that for poor people. Also, the corners of the field have to be left for poor people, or anything that he forgets to harvest has to be left for poor people. So a person who didn't do this, that causes plague to come into the world. Since Sukkot is the time when people gather their crops, so it's a time when people might not give enough to poor people. It's like they steal from poor people. See, we view charity and money we give to poor people, we think it's our money, and I'm the biggest tzaddik, I'm the most righteous person for giving money to the poor people. But no, really that money belongs to the poor people. Hashem ordained that money belongs to the poor people, so when we don't give it to them, it's like we're stealing from poor people. But still, even that, the plague doesn't come during Sukkot, so that we shouldn't have horrible things happening during the festival of Sukkot when we're very happy what happens after. So we learn from here again that there are consequences from our actions, and we see how serious Hashem treats not giving tzedakah, not giving charity, and not giving gifts to people that are in need. We have Meiser Sheni and Meiser Ani. Meiser Sheni is the produce that we bring to the temple, bring to Jerusalem and eat there, and if we neglect to do it, it's a bad thing, but it doesn't bring plague to the world. But in the 3rd and the 6th years, when we give Meiser Ani, when we give tithes to poor people, if we don't bring it then it's a very bad thing. We don't give it to poor people what they need, and then Chas v'shalom, God forbid, that will bring a plague to the world. And with that, we'll finish for today.